Hey guys, what I have here is the almighty tune monster for the Can-Am 1000. This one's got both expansions, including the wideband O2 sensors. The expansions are the Monster Spark, which removes your rev limiter, and the speed limiter too. I'm not sure on that. I know it does remove the speed limiter, but I'm not sure if that's the unit that does it. The other expansion here is for your fan control. And here there's an extra wire. I can use it if I ever put NOS or whatever on my bike, which I don't think I'll ever do. If you look at the main wiring harness here, it's very high quality. Look at all the connectors, it's all nice loom, and all the connections are taped, and very high quality stuff. And it connects into your injectors, your map sensor, throttle positioning sensor. It's probably for your kill switch. Here's the wideband expansion with the O2 sensors and the two bungs. I know it's a lot of wires, but they only plug into one place. All the wires are color matching. Look here, there, everything matches. So it's pretty straightforward for an installation. It's a little bit more involved than your regular fuel programmer there, but yeah, I'm going to be installing this on my bike very shortly. First of all, you're going to want to disconnect your battery. Now that I removed some plastics, I'm going to pull again more plastics in this little plastic tray here under the battery and the heat shield, because I'm going to take the exhaust out and weld the bungs for the O2 sensors. Now that I remove the heat shield, that gives me a clear view of the header. And before I remove the header, I'm going to go ahead and find locations for my O2 sensors. It says 3 to 8 inches away from your head, but we're pretty limited on where to go. So around here we're going to have, there's a lot of room. I'll turn on the light here. See up here, you'll have a lot of room to put that O2 sensor. It's pretty long. And in the back here, I'm there. I don't know how good it is to put it on the outside of a curve, but as you can see here, it's about the only spot you can put it before it gets to your collector. Now I'll take off the muffler and pull out this header. Once you got the exhaust out of your bike, go ahead and use a hole saw and cut some holes into your headers. This is where I drilled the hole for the exhaust on the back header. Now I'm going to go ahead and shape these weld bungs so we can follow the contour of the pipe. Once you've cleaned out your pipe and ground out all the rust and contaminants, and you have radius your bung there, you can go ahead and weld it in place. Make sure it's tacked into place and it's not going to move on you for when you weld. Go ahead and weld it. This is what it should look like if you know how to weld. Now here's what your back header should look like once it's welded in. Now with your bungs welded in, you can go ahead and reinstall your headers back in here. For the Tune Monster ECM itself, I had to find a location place, so I built this little aluminum bracket and put it inside the dash piece. If you see there's only two screws showing off the top, and those are used screws that I had laying around after putting my skid plates on. So it matches the rest of the bike. Made an aluminum bracket, and this just fits. What I got here is the A harness from the Tune Monster kit. I'm going to go through and identify all the plugins first before I install it, so it'll just make it easier for you or myself when I go to install it to know where everything goes. This is going to be your kill switch. If you look back here, there's a plug sitting by itself. Not the two on that side, but down here. This is where this is going to be plugging in. Now we're going to go to the next one on the harness, which is your crank sensor. And for this one, if you look inside there, you'll see there's a plug-in. You see those yellow and blue wires there? That's where your crank sensor is going to be. Next one on the line is going to be these gray ones, which are your injectors, which is that gray plug-in right there on the top of your injector. Let's go to this one. It's going to be your MAPTS sensor right here, which is this one right there. So your throttle positioning sensor, which is this one back here. This is your rear injector in the back, and this one right here, last but not least, is your coolant sensor. So now I'll route the harness and start plugging these in. I'm going to start by feeding the A harness through there. I brought it through here, plugging through down there. I'm coming through here. You don't have to do this, but me, just to make it easier on myself, I pulled the whole my shift lever out of the way, moved it on. It's still hooked to the tranny, but just to give me more access to the crank sensor plug back here, and I'll be able to route my harness behind it there, and just the OCD's kicking in, I guess. Just like stuff to be neat. I took apart the crank sensor connectors, and now I'm going to match it up with the ones on the Toon Monster harness. It's going to be the first ones coming off the A harness. It's right there. Before you plug those in, on every connection, I recommend use some dielectric grease. Be generous. Even the plugins that the Toon Monster don't plug in while you're there, throw some dielectric grease in there. It won't hurt it. Okay, the second one on the A harness is for your front cylinder injector. So you see this gray one right there? I took it apart already. Right, just go plug your ends, one on each end, and make sure to use dielectric grease. Now this is where the A harness splits into three, so I'm just going to go with the throttle position sensor, which is right up here. Pull it out. I'll just plug that in. Now I'm going to go with the other branch, the other side on the A harness, which is my MAPTS sensor, which is located right here on the front. Now I'm going to go with the middle branch, and I'm going to start with the fuel injector, the rear cylinder fuel injectors. You can see right there, it's right here, right under one of the fuel connectors for your injector, which is almost impossible to remove. Okay, the last one on the A harness would be your coolant sensor. You're going to have to route that from the other side, as you see I'm on the exhaust side now, because your sensor's right here on top of the rear cylinder. Go ahead and plug that in. On the A harness, I almost forgot this one, which is your kill switch. It's on the other side, the two white ones there. You'll see there's one underneath here. Just route your harness through and plug those in. Now that everything's plugged in on the A harness, I'm going to go ahead and use some zip ties here and snug everything right up. Make it look neat. Make sure nothing's rubbing on anything, and make sure nothing's touching hot surfaces. And I'm going to reinstall my shifter and make it look like nothing ever happened. Now that I zip tied everything down and put the shift lever back in its place there, I want to check, make sure that the wiring harness ain't touching anywhere. But if you look there, everything's made to pretty much the right length, so it tucks in so nice you can't even tell you've been there.